You have entered the realm of dead air. For the next 2 hours, you will be transported into the world of the strange and the supernatural. You might not feel the need to cleanse your laptops or mobile devices afterwards. But it might not be a bad idea.
You know, with regards to StreamYard, and don't get me wrong, StreamYard, we love you and everything that you provide for us for our shows. But I wish we could do a play-in, Ken, like the Johnny Carson show when they came back from break. Doc Severinsen was playing, and then it would fade into a shot of Johnny, and then ready to go for even if you. Good evening. It's not the same. No.
Is it? Do we got to talk to Bill? Is it in the budget to hire a band? Like maybe a mariachi band or something. I got plenty of room here.
Well, we'll do that around Cinco de Mayo, but not before then. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show live, and I just want to let you guys know that we appreciate you joining us there in chat. For those of you joining us for the first time, we are simulcast with kgradb.com. By the way, Ken did all this text, so you guys can check it out. kgradb.com/dead-air. On Facebook, KGRADB. Also, if you're watching on Facebook, you can catch us on youtube.com/@deadairnation. If you're on YouTube and you want to watch on Facebook, facebook.com, Dead Air Full Spectrum. You can also catch us on Twitter. So we thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, the thumbs up. And most importantly, Mr. DaCosta, hit it. Got to have that taken care of, guys. That is the reminder bell for upcoming content. I honestly, truly believe that, 2024, which I never thought would exit my mouth talking about things in the future back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and think about what we're doing now. If we saw the technology now that, when we were back then, it's just mind-boggling. Look what we're doing right now. Ken's in Rhode Island. I'm in Florida. There's no delay on audio. It's just absolutely fantastic. So we are thrilled for 2024 and a lot of upcoming things that we want to talk to you about. And I know Ken wants to talk to you about something specific right now. Ken?
Yes, I do. Let's take that banner down. You can see my mouth move. Okay, so first of all, to everyone out there, thank you for your response to Extremely Strange. It continues to grow. I do appreciate it. Next one coming out will be about the wildest family trip ever. So stay tuned for that. Just a quick announcement. We are creating a Patreon page. This is going to be for members only. And what we're going to do is something a little bit different. You're going to be able to come on with us in a community setting and hear things that you're never going to hear on this show. Trust me. And you'll join others like yourself on screen to talk about your own experiences and get whatever you need to get off of your chest.
Ooh.
And other members of the Dead Air family will be joining us from time to time. So all of you folks that say hello to yourself and to each other in chat, who join us every week, we're going to have a chance for you to come on face to face with other members and just have a nice chat for about an hour or so, or however long that it takes us to complete it. So maybe there'll be some really cool merch involved in this, so you might want to stay tuned for that. But it goes a long way to helping us keep this show alive and, for around the cost of a cup of coffee. You'll be able to do that monthly. So we'll be getting together with everybody. And like I say, in a community setting where you'll be on screen, like George and I are right now, and be able to talk to each other face to face.
Yeah.
And hear things that
Shouldn't be heard.
Work.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this, guys, because it's a little bit more personal. Number one, number two, there's no time limits on it. You know, it could be for 2 hours, it could be for 10 minutes. It all depends on the activity and what you guys want to participate in, and also gives us an opportunity to kind of let loose. You know, when we're here doing the show, as you've seen, majority of the time, it's about the guests that are joining us, such as tonight with Richel Stratton and Brian Murray. But we want to be able to give you equal time, also talking to us and enjoying that chat and that conversation. Questions you may have for us, questions we may have for you. And as Ken said, it's completely unfiltered, though. So we're looking forward to having that platform and doing that with all of our wonderful fans out there. So we figure there's how many different followers do we have now, Ken?
Oh, we're climbing to 3,700 subscribers, and you know, great response in chat, and the questions and comments that you have really are kind of like the lifeblood of this, because in a lot of ways when we're doing this, we represent you, asking the questions we think you want to know, and you know, give you a chance to ask them of our guests. So you never know who might show up on something like this as well. So surprise.
We have a lot of people on speed dial. Just remember that.
That's right.
So, all right, Ken, without any further ado, I think it's time to bring our wonderful guests on tonight, and I'll leave it to you, sir.
Okay, thank you much. Okay, Richel Stratton and Brian Murray, longtime paranormal investigators whose efforts landed them on the Ghost Hunters reboot series a couple of years back. They're both members of Riverbend Paranormal and are two of the most affable and adept people in the paranormal. They have a new podcast we'll talk about tonight called Adventures with Richel, and we are happy to welcome them back to Dead Air tonight. So please, let's hear it for Brian and Richel.
Yeah. And it's adventures. Yeah. That was perfect.
All right.
Oh my goodness, it's been a while since you guys have been on with us, and you haven't done anything in the meantime. That's, you know, we brought you on because you figured you had free time. You're not doing anything. What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, you know, like you said, not doing anything, just hanging out. So
it's every day.
Yeah, every day hanging out, doing.
Been a minute since we talked to you guys.
Running errands.
Wait. What's that sign behind you all about? What's that all about?
Adventures with Brichel is our podcast that we came out with. And when did it come out?
We're 20 episodes in. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got them on. You're frozen. You're frozen right now.
Look at that.
Oh, no, you're not. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Jizo.
I liked my hair.
Your hair was awesome.
I liked my hair in that.
Yeah.
Never will happen again.
So the podcast came about because when we drive to different locations or different events and stuff, the things that we talk about, we always have said we should just record ourselves because they go crazy. We're all over the place, but they're fun.
We were actually at Penhurst Paracon this past year, and quite a few people asked us if we had a podcast, and I was like, no. And they're like, you should. So then we decided that we would start one, and it's doing well. Like, I didn't think
it is.
Actually listen to us.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're doing.
No. And the funny thing about it is neither one of us know how to edit. So whatever happens on it happens. And Phasmos and then Chantress. Yes.
That's right.
Hi, Aaron. I can't believe we if you haven't listened to the podcast, in one of those episodes, we come up. I think it's the cult episode.
Come up with our own names.
Come up with what we want people to call us.
Yeah, I was Phasmo.
Phasmo and then Chantress.
Yeah.
You know, there's an incredible correlation here. This is eerie because we decided to do this based on phone calls George and I had with each other multiple times a week where we would just riff and go off on stuff. And we brought it back, and very much like we love to do, you get into a whole mess of stuff.
Yes.
From cryptids to UFO phenomena, skinwalkers, all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
And
our podcast this past week was
I love
skinwalkers.
Yeah.
That we
I love it.
had like an epiphany on while we were doing the show.
Yeah.
That we feel like we may have came across skinwalkers.
By accident.
By accident. Like we weren't out there.
I have a couple of guys that you can call for that, by the way.
Okay, well, we'll need
We
their
may
numbers.
We're going to have them back, actually. They're known as the Paranormal Rangers
Okay.
from the Navajo Reservation, and they were like their FBI, their special agents, their law enforcement there. And they are just, oh my God. They were on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix.
That's awesome.
So we had them on, and they are just the two nicest guys. But man, I'll tell you,
All business.
when they're telling their stories, it will scare the shit out of you with the stuff that, and these guys are they're so credible.
Yeah.
And it's quite a thing. So
we may need to talk to them.
Yeah.
we know a guy.
Because it's somewhat out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, that's
type
not
thing.
yeah.
It's not that we're familiar, but we haven't researched it completely.
It's not the main focus.
Yeah, we do ghosts,
A lot of ghosts
and things like that.
Yeah.
And let's
Right.
about that.
That's the benefit, though, guys, is your research is right there on your podcast. So as you're learning, your guests are learning, and it just poses, trust me, one question after another for your guest regards to a topic like this, because I'm in the same boat as you. This is not my wheelhouse. Ken is one of the most well-rounded people when it comes to the paranormal. He's into ufology, cryptozoology, but for me, it's all been about spirit phenomena. When we started getting this guest on, I'm like, I got a million questions.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's what
Jonathan and Stan.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
They
you
are
put us in touch with them because we may need their assistance.
I mean, it was enlightening. Don't get me wrong. It was a ton of fun. These guys are great. Their stories are great. But it was a little unnerving to hear some of the things that go on the reservation with the skinwalkers. I mean, how to deal with them, how to get rid of them, what not to do. And this goes beyond Navajo culture into reality and the things they've seen and encountered there. And like I said, you can't find two more credible guys.
I think we're going to need the whole checklist.
Yes, the whole checklist.
The whole checklist of things that can help us in the near future.
We went through a little bit of checklist, but we didn't get the full list.
We need the whole thing. Yeah. This was something that we didn't have any idea. Well, I better not go further than that. This is something.
We weren't out there looking
for
skinwalkers. We're out there, and we actually thought that it was something completely different. And when we got out there, we realized quickly that we were in over our heads.
A little bit.
A little uncomfortable. We don't know the rules to this particular game. And we don't know.
There are rules.
Yeah, gonna need those rules.
Yeah, definitely gonna need the rules. Otherwise, we don't want to play.
Right.
So
this is very close to the house.
Yeah, but it was something that just makes you have more questions and makes you want to keep going out there.
Yeah.
We were talking about it today.
Honestly, if we didn't do the podcast on that subject, we probably wouldn't have came up with like I guess the clues that we're piecing together right now that we've been piecing together since we did the podcast on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
How'd you wind up? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. How did you wind up there? In that country, were you there for an event or something and just decided that?
When we don't do anything. We're just hanging out these
Right.
past couple of years. And while hanging out, we go do different little things, little different projects that you may or may not see, that we may or may not be able to talk about, type of stuff.
Right.
But
It started from another podcast.
yeah, this initially started from another podcast and then snowballed into something else. And
Yeah, I know how it goes. Come out and see the Skinwalkers, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
they did the whole bait and switch. We thought we were going up there for something else.
Yeah, and we got something totally different.
So
It should be cool, if it ever. We're not going to stop investigating it. We're going to try to figure this one out because it's kind of weighing on us
yeah,
a little bit. You know what I mean? You guys know how it is. You go to a location, you have some activity, but you don't quite understand it, and then you're like, "It's getting the best of me. I got to figure it out."
sticks with you.
So that's where we're at.
Well, now you guys have told us the origin of the podcast. What happens during the podcast? Where have you guys gone so far? Have you brought guests on at this point in time, or is that something that you're planning to do down the line?
So the podcast is really, we have crazy schedules. So to get a guest on to coordinate 3 people's schedules is crazy. Like it's almost nearly impossible. So you guys know, you schedule guests.
Different
hard.
states. We live 4 miles from each other.
We live 4 miles apart, and it's harder to get us 2 together than I feel like.
We're still, Ben Hansen, if you're out there, we're still waiting for a call back.
Yeah, please. That'd be great.
Yeah, call 'em back.
Jesus, Ben.
Yeah, Ben, come on.
I don't know what to do.
But so we have had 2 guests on. We had Matt Pace, which is the co-founder of Riverbend Paranormal and practically my neighbor. He literally lives like right down the street, maybe 4 or 5
houses.
6 houses down.
Convenient.
Very convenient. We had him on, and then we also had Tanner Wiseman on
From Project Fear.
from Project Fear. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're planning on having Dustin Perry on
Dustin's coming.
at some point. We just got to
He's a blast. Yeah.
Yeah, but the podcast really is, it's not like an interview style type thing. It's with Matt. We were talking about aliens, and he is very knowledgeable about them. So we had him on, and he had some really crazy stories that he was telling us. And then with Tanner, we played a game, Name That Phobia.
Yeah.
Where
we would read off a definition of a phobia, and he'd have, or was it that way?
we would read off the phobia,
Oh,
and
and
he
he'd
had
have
to
to-
tell
yeah.
us what it was the fear
Yeah.
of, because we
Gotcha.
thought it would go along with, Project Fear type thing.
Gotcha.
But really, like when we have people on, we're like, hey, this is just us talking about a topic. It's not.
Yeah, there's no real research. There's no real script. We just, hey, tomorrow we're going to talk about this.
Yeah, how we feel about it, what we know about it. Yeah.
Welcome
So-
to our world. Exactly how we go about it
Yeah.
too.
We
fun
love
that
to
way.
do that from time to time.
I mean, we'll get,
Where, we'll just, what do you want to talk about this week? Where it'll just be us kind of turn the show over to chat. Hey, join us. It's free form. Whatever you want to talk about.
I like that.
Yeah. I feel like you get so many more ideas and such a better, like, back and forth dialogue if you have a topic, but you don't know it's not so structured. It's like we're talking about skinwalkers, and then it's just whatever comes.
Also gets to show our personalities more. We're not just going into a house, asking a client what she's got going on, trying to find the evidence and letting them know. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
In a very serious tone all the time. It lets us be who we are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What we want.
And I think
It's kind of like on a couple of occasions when, if you're lucky enough to get a guest like that, like Michelle Belanger is like that. Oh my God. It's like we're into energy vampires and suddenly we're into religion, politics, all sorts of stuff. Absolutely love it, because there's only so many times, no offense, that someone can say, what's the scariest place you've ever been to?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, is it like, no, there's more to a lot of these people than just, we go out and chase these things around,
Yeah. And I will say, like, so we always tell people that, like, the podcast isn't about guests. Like, it's not that type of podcast where we have guests on. But
Right.
if our friends want to come on, then of course we'll have them on. But
Sure.
it sounds rude.
When you say you don't want anybody,
I didn't say I didn't want it. It sounds rude, but like, there are friends. I know what you're doing, so I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
I don't want to interview you.
Right.
We're friends. I just want to chit chat type
You're right.
thing. And at the end of the day, the podcast is about us learning stuff and having a good time.
Totally get it.
That's, I don't know.
If like once maybe a week, because they're always hungry, or once every couple of weeks, Cody and Story will come for dinner over here.
Yes.
We don't talk about the paranormal. Like, people don't understand that when we're doing this. Yes, it comes up obviously because it's a commonality,
Yeah,
but we talk about other things.
exactly. I
And
talked to Tori on the phone this morning, and we didn't talk about the paranormal.
I don't think we ever really talk about it to them.
We don't ever really talk about the paranormal with them. It's, you guys are eating lemons and
Yeah.
prom
That's
photos,
true.
and
Yeah. We
stupid.
love them. We
Yes.
love them.
We love them to pieces.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about the paranormal.
Okay, let's get into it.
No, during the podcast, and by the way, the most hilarious ones are the clips you put on TikTok. Your road trip videos you put on TikTok are just, it's definitely a work wife, work husband type of scenario. You get on each other's nerves like, why do you breathe that way? It's just like
Yes.
something that when you're around somebody that much, you're comfortable enough to speak in those forms. And those little clips are absolutely fantastic. Give everybody the information on your TikTok also, because I want to make sure that they can check those out. It's a lot of fun.
It's also Adventures with Brichel
Yeah, we try to keep it the same across everything.
for me.
Adventures with Brichel on TikTok. Yes.
Brian's like, so I can find it myself.
Yes, for me, like, I threw a fit yesterday trying to load something up because it wasn't working right. And when I tell you,
I hate technology.
I'm
never
over
doing
it. It's not
again.
happening. We're not getting it. We're not putting it up.
Yeah, we're not putting it up. And I'm like,
Just
okay.
forget it.
Oh, one thing. When does the podcast air?
Oh, it airs Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Yeah. So usually a new episode comes out on Wednesdays. It drops at midnight Tuesday. So, so that if they want to listen to it on their way to work, you can laugh with us. We
It
can
is
scare the
yeah.
pants off of you.
Yeah.
Or you can watch little TikTok snippets of everything we mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Very
when
good.
the
That's 11 Eastern here, if my math is correct. So Wednesday nights.
no Wednesday. Like all of
Wednesday.
Wednesday
Oh.
it should be out. Yes.
Okay. Wednesday.
Yes.
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not live; it's a pre-record. So once it's up, anybody at any time on Wednesday can just pick it up and listen to it.
Yes.
Yes.
At any time.
I got you.
And if you do, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, download all of the things, turn on the notifications,
Yes, all that.
because we check the stats and we get really happy. And I will say that I love it when people comment on our YouTube or they follow us and we get a notification. I get pumped up about it way more than I should.
Let's make Richel and Brian happy, guys. Make sure you subscribe over there and give them the thumbs up and all that as well.
Good idea.
Now, do you have any memory of, in those conversations that you were just speaking of, no guest on, you guys are just talking the field, that you've had in the past epiphanies about this field. Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, we got to try that. Or even situations where the guests have come on and have presented something to you that was not thought of before, not unheard of, but just a technique or a style that you'd like to approach on a further investigation that you have.
Well, I'll say that we had, like I said, we had the epiphany last week on the episode about what we may have came across, because up until that point, we really didn't know. We were like, we have no idea what we were experiencing out there or what we were dealing with.
Caught it in the moment.
Yeah. So then we had the epiphany on the podcast about that. I mean, we've discussed different tactics. Like, we've discussed us wanting to do daytime investigations at hospitals.
Nice.
And like, because that's when they would be very active.
Different styles of recording. A lot of times when we would go out, we wouldn't have like the cameras and stuff. The way we always investigated in the past, it really wasn't about cameras and things like that or putting stuff out on YouTube for people to see. Then we had this incident where we saw a full-bodied apparition, and we had nothing to. There were 6 of us. We all saw it twice, and
had nothing to capture it.
Yeah, nothing. So
we had
pissed us off.
Yeah, we have recorders, and we had an SLS camera, but it had died, and we didn't do anything about it. We were like, whatever.
Yeah, we just kind of used that just to see what the whole deal about them was.
Yeah.
And really haven't used it since.
Because you can't really you can't form an opinion unless you use it or you see it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to use it for yourself.
Right.
And when we go to events where we investigate, there are people there that want to use different things that they've seen. So we kind of bought that together to, hey, if you want to try it, it's here for you to try.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And then you also can, while you're trying it or whatever, you can, I don't want to say debunk, but you can debunk, like, hey, that is not necessarily, like, you're standing and there's a window and it's picking up a shadow or it's picking up a figure. It's your reflection in the window. Like,
right, sure.
Or, I don't know, the whole idea behind that is to find figures. Like, that is what that technology is used for, is to map figures. So it's going to try to do that with whatever it possibly can.
Anything, right?
Yeah. Like, whether it's a toilet seat.
Mm-hmm.
Like a toilet. It's going to try to map a person.
I mean, it's based on the Connect system, which is designed to mimic human physiology.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is why, when back in the day, when you're doing 3D mapping, there are rules, 8 feet away in an open, clear area. So, if you're in an abandoned place, I think there's probably merit to it because you don't have a lot of that stuff in a big open area, because it's easy to just misidentify stuff.
You're also supposed to have it like stabilized in a fixed spot. You're not supposed to walk around with it typically,
right?
Because then it's constantly, it can't get its bearings essentially.
We got a new cool piece of equipment anyways.
Yeah.
That we want to use.
Right.
We have a robot. One of a kind robot.
What?
Yes.
We have a one of a kind robot.
His name's Lucas.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna say he's the tits, okay? Like, he's pretty damn cool.
Yes, it is. The FBI used it. The CIA.
What?
other? Yes.
It was designed by NASA people.
Yes.
Like,
so we have. Yes, we have. It's the only one that's out there.
How did you obtain this from NASA?
This is a great story.
We know.
Or the less we know, the better.
Let me get my popcorn. This is going to be good. Go ahead.
Well, honestly, we got a message over Facebook, and it was a guy that we're from. It was actually my dad. My dad's boss at the time, or he had been my dad's boss. Okay, and he says, "Hey, I made a robot for you and Richel." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, thank you." Moved on to the next day. I thought that was cool, but I didn't really believe that this was going on. About about
Yeah.
4 months of this, and I just keep saying, thanks, wonderful, that's so awesome. And then he tells me on the last go around, he says, hey, I'm moving out of town.
Retiring.
Yeah, I'm retiring. I'm moving away. I got it here. You need to at least come look at it. I don't know what else to do with it.
Yes, please.
So I said, Rich, let's go check this thing out.
We get there, and I thought it was going to be like one of those little toy robot thing, like the miniature ones that had been like redesigned to be a recorder or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And get there, and this thing looks like a tank. It's huge.
It's about 3 foot long. It's on tracks.
It's like battle bots.
Yes.
Yes.
But it'll go up 5 or 6 flights of stairs.
Goes upstairs. It records audio. It records video in
full darkness.
Yeah, full darkness. There's a walkie-talkie on it. It reaches 3 football fields in length, like the remote. That was hard.
That was
a
really
word
hard.
that I couldn't get out.
Remote
You nailed it, though.
It sounds like the same thing that the bomb squads use.
It actually is.
Ah,
We asked for the arm, or I asked for the arm that detonates stuff, and he said, I can't get that.
He can't
to
give
you."
us
well,
Like, okay.
But
fair
you know
enough.
what? If you think about it, having something that's not sentient like that and sending it, you know how people change the environment?
Yeah.
Yes.
The place, it's measurable. We know it's measurable.
Yes.
Our own energy and everything. You eliminate that type of thing by sending in something. I don't want to call it inanimate because it certainly sounds like it gets around. But eliminating like the human element of something like that, it's like pretty cool.
It records. You can run audio, so you can do EVP through it. It records everything. You could see 360. You could climb stairs. You can go underwater if I want to investigate for Loch Ness Monster.
It can be submerged completely in water. The guy said the only downfall is it only can be submerged for 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Also, yeah.
That's the downfall?
Big drawback.
So you were thinking places like, let's just say Penhurst or like Waverly Hills. They got these long, long hallways. You can essentially be outside, send that in, do an EVP session, record everything that's going on. You don't even have to be in the building.
It's also comes in handy for squatters and vagrants in some really scary places, not spiritually, but you know how it is out there. Like send the robot in, and
it also comes with a trailer, we can bring snacks to people as well.
So if you are at the 5th floor and you need a coffee and some M&Ms, we can send Lucas with that.
Yeah.
Oh, will you stop?
You know, there's like robot overlords. Eventually, if it's AI, it's going to learn from you both, and it's basically going to like give this is going to be a takeover here. We get to the point we don't have to do anything at some point. We can just sit here on screen and investigate a place like 50 miles away. Go do it.
You want to know something that's super positive about it too, other than the long list, is that police officers have thrown it out of a 3-story building off of the 3 stories up, and it doesn't break.
And you wonder why robots eventually revolt in the movies.
Exactly.
Abuse.
Handy.
It comes in handy with me.
Throw them out the window, get me coffee. I mean, it's indentured servitude, and it's just wrong. And I think you guys should start hugging that robot more often. Lucas, isn't he?
Well, Lucas,
we love on Lucas.
There is a story that goes behind that where I did get in trouble, since we kind of share custody of Lucas.
Yes. I also am getting him a little hat, by the way. I feel like he needs one.
So
personalized.
We took it to Penhurst, and during the event, we investigated at night. We were in separate places. So I was in one building, and she was in a different building. And I asked her, I said, hey, can I use the robot? Can I take Lucas with me? And she said, yes. And then she gave me the list of rules.
I said, yes, you can. I said, but don't let anyone else use him. because we had just gotten him. And if someone breaks it, like, I'm not concerned. It sounds horrible, but like Lucas himself is pretty indestructible. But the remote control, however, I do believe is not. Like, I feel like it could break. It has a screen on.
We're not going to be able to get parts.
Not going to be able to get parts. So I'm like, don't let anybody else like touch it. You can show them, and then they can look and say like, hey, what does that button do type thing.
No, we got to get parts for this thing.
Did you guys insure Lucas yet?
No, why would we?
No.
Why would we do that, George?
We don't do smart things.
Yeah, we should. We should do that.
Yeah.
You guys have come such a long way in technology. I want to demonstrate. Whereas before you were using the most elemental things, and you're known for your use of flashlights. Of course, there's Richel.
Good God.
And there's Brian once again with the flashlight.
Good God.
Richel again with the flashlight.
Right,
Oh,
the
my.
camera too.
You know, Brian once
Yes.
again with the flashlight.
The horror.
This is them inside of a house using their flashlight.
Oh, jeez.
That's a nice ass.
Again, using the flashlights inside
Come on.
the house. And now they have robots.
Yes.
Now we have robots that also have.
It has a flashlight.
He has a headlight. So
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So I get down into my area. I got Lucas. I get it out for the first time. I'm pumped. I'm waiting for people to show up. And this guy comes in and he's looking at it. He's like, that's so cool. He says, can I use it? And I said, absolutely. And I hand him the control and I just let him go and do his business with it, right? After being told no.
Judas.
I just like, yeah, go ahead.
and guess what? That guy immediately left Brian and came to me and was like, I got to touch the robot. I was like, you did. You did. Huh? I was like, well, he's like, don't get him in trouble. I was like, oh, he's in trouble. You got him in trouble. He's in trouble.
I was going to say, I hope this story has a happy ending and the robot was okay.
It
The robot
didn't.
was okay. Nothing was hurt.
Besides our friendship
Our friendship
and
took
our
a hit.
trust. Our
took a
trust
hit that
was
night.
broke
It
because
did take a hit.
this motherfucker said that he wouldn't let anybody touch it.
The,
Swore it.
the first person that came in contact, I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, Aaron. This is why we can't have nice things because Brian lets whoever play with very expensive equipment. A battery for the thing costs $1,000.
Oh,
Battery.
Yeah.
Like, imagine what happens if that remote control breaks and we actually can find someone to repair it. How much that's going to cost us?
Insurance.
Insurance,
He's got
or
a
it's
good
coming
idea.
out of Brian's pocket because he's the one who let someone.
He's the one that, he's the one that's just abusing the privilege at this point in time. So, results so far from Lucas? Has there been anything that, okay, this is why we're using this particular machine and getting results we hadn't expected from before? Anything like that come about yet, or you're still in those beta stages?
We're still working with
Yeah.
it. We haven't had a lot of places that we could,
Openly
use it. We used it on a private case where it was a diner, and we sent Lucas in to run around the diner for a while and kind of see things. That
right.
was pretty cool.
I feel like we saw a shadow,
Yeah.
but we kind of chalked it up to, we were standing outside. It probably
Yeah.
was us type thing. We're not chalking it up to he captured something.
Well,
But-
you get a camera from a different perspective than a human's
Yep.
Yeah.
in terms of height. Now, when you record, you have recorders. Do you use detached microphones? So you don't pick up anything mechanical at all?
It has its
Might be
own.
giving off like plug in detached microphones, something.
Right. So Lucas has its own
Microphones
built in that you can't hear. You cannot hear it running. You can't hear anything. It's
Okay,
just
right. That's the thing.
But usually we usually will set up a couple recorders throughout the building
Sure.
and let them roll
Mhm.
and see how it goes. This was a small diner. It's
Yes.
pretty easy. Then we used it at Pinhurst for a little bit. There was
You used it.
I did.
Other people
and
used
that
it.
one guy used it. There was no two. Rochelle did not.
And that kid kicked it.
There was a kid that also kicked it. So,
So where is Lucas
Why-
right now? At like an undisclosed location?
He's at my house. He's at my house.
Yeah. We did use it in the woods.
Yeah, we did it. We used it recently in the woods.
Fortunately and unfortunately, a lot of places we go have antiques and historical pieces and are tight and narrow. And Lucas isn't really someone that you just want to, it's a tank. So
Yeah.
I have told Brian that in those locations, I know we first brought it out at Cheney Mansion and we were showing people, but
Dustin got to play with it.
Dustin, I allowed him, but I don't think he is going to fumble it. I don't know. But we didn't take it in the house there because I was like, there's too many things that if we run into something and it breaks, there is no replacing it. And
Kind of sounds like she was worried about my driving abilities.
No.
Which is another way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it feels like to me. I'm over here and I can feel the heat coming off of her.
I sometimes like to remove the risk before. I like to prevent a problem from happening.
Sure.
Well, you start them with training wheels. Just get them with little RC cars and have them work with that for a couple of months before you let them.
I'm pretty good at it now, aren't I?
Yeah.
Lucas.
I'll say I drove it in my house and I'm not great at it. I ran into my chair and moved like a big, like
recliner.
It wasn't the recliner, but it was an oversized chair. And I ran into it with it and moved the chair. And I was like, well,
wow.
I'm not a good.
Yeah, I'll send you guys a picture of it so you can check it out.
Yeah, we'd love to see it.
Yeah. Mercy.
Yeah, you might have more luck with it as far as, people being overwhelmed or kids kicking it. If you could either dress it up like Wall-E or the robot from Short Circuit, a couple of
the hat.
I want to get it a hat. I think I want it a little top hat.
Yeah, personalize it, sure.
Sunglasses.
Any fears of battery drainage during investigation?
Actually, it's been really, really good.
Yeah.
I think that I think you can get 3 to 4 hours on the battery fully charged.
Yeah.
And that's if you're using it for straight 3 or 4 hours. You know what I mean? We don't. We will run it in there. We'll take it out. We'll go do our investigating ourselves. Then if we want to see another area, we can send it out. If we were like at Waverly, if we were on the first floor or second floor and we wanted to send it up to the 4th floor, we could do that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to, when we're ready, kind of switch gears with you folks for a little bit. I was exactly 1 week ago years old when I learned something about you guys. And again, the kids were over for dinner. And I said, because I've written articles not only about this place, but about specific locations within this place. And I said, you know what I think is the most haunted town in the United States? So Tari said, what? I says, Alton, Illinois. And she looked at me and said,
yeah, baby.
That's where Richel and Brian live. And I'm like, come on. Now, Alton and I go back a long way. I had dinner with Troy Taylor one time. And he was, he did all sorts of tours, his whole gang, Len and John, and wrote a lot of books about Alton. And I said, the amount of people, and I can name, McPike Mansion, the Milton School, the Mineral Springs Hotel, on and on and on it goes. And I said, I believe that this is the most haunted town in the country. And I explained why. And then they said, oh, Richel and Brian live there. And I'm like, what now?
Yeah, we do.
So
we do.
I want to ask you about Alton before we, come to the top of an hour and head to the break. About towns like this that have multiple haunted locations and become very well known. I guess Atchison, Kansas is another one.
You've been there a lot of times too.
Right, and so forth. And, and we can run down the list of towns and cities. You being residents of Alton, doing a little background. I know that they've had their share of misfortune and tragedy and war and all of that. So how much do you attribute to that residual type of energy that's probably still in the ether, in the environment, as opposed to how, legends tend to grow stories? Where is the balance for that in Alton? I'm curious because, like I said, I've written articles on this town for like magazines and stuff. So what's going on?
There's 3 or 4 main things that make this one of those places, and it's right next to the river, so you've got the flowing water. We have limestone quarries throughout Alton. So all the basements and stuff in this place have been built using limestone. And you know what limestone's going to do? It acts as a
conductor. Yeah.
Yep. So we have that. We have railroad tracks all over the place.
Oh, jeez.
So it's all that through Alton. I would say that a lot of the stuff that's here there's a lot of residual. We have ran into intelligent.
Yes. I feel like whatever home you go to in Alton, like if it's a older home, which a lot of them are, like the majority of them are, there's going to be activity, but it may be residual. I feel like you will come across the intelligent haunts. And I think that the lore behind the stuff that we have here, I think the energy that people put into that also make it super active, because you're putting out all of this energy and thought and manifestation and everything. And then it's just getting soaked up by everything around here that I feel like it comes to pass type stuff. Not to mention the history. Like, we were part of the Underground Railroad. Lincoln and Douglas had a debate here. Lincoln stayed here in one of the homes. Like, there's a plaque on it. I think we had one of the first jails.
Yeah.
Like,
made of limestone.
And then you have the Piasol birds, you have the Native Americans, like all of this stuff. I think it's just,
it's very
the Unitarian Church there was pastor hung himself.
That's the story.
Yes.
That's the story, right?
Yeah.
So, right. So,
well, and a lot of these places that you're talking about, Mineral and McPike, and are all within just a few miles of each other, and they're all circled around this limestone quarry.
I posted 3 pictures yesterday, and all 3 of those places are in Alton. That's the main thing I was thinking was, not the main thing I was thinking, but the main thing that I was going for was they're all in Alton. Because I don't want to confirm or deny hauntings, but they're all in Alton, and they're all within like a block of each other. Like, you could walk easily to any of those 3 locations. And
it's very rare to go to a house in Alton where somebody says they don't have something happen.
Mm-hmm. I got a video yesterday which I need to show you.
Have you been here?
Yeah. Have you been to Alton?
No. I feel like I have, because, the research, I actually had residents writing me on our website saying, no, that's not quite right, which I loved. More information, the better. The first time it even came into my conscience was years ago. There was some kind of show, I don't know if it was Haunted History, one of those shows, compilation shows, they go to different places. And Mineral Spring Hotel had a pool.
Yes.
At one point. So whoever the investigators are, this is perfect, because we're talking about robots. They had put a camera on a remote control truck and put it down into the pool, and this thing was like catching shadows on the camera going back and forth. So this is going back into the 90s, I guess. And that's the first thing. It's like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then it just kept coming up. You sit and have dinner with Troy, and then you hear stories. So something about me in Alton, I don't know, man. It just keeps coming up like it did last week. Oh, Richel and Brian live in Alton, and I'm like,
let us know when you get here. Let us know when you get here.
Also, Mineral Springs has 2 pools.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will confirm that one is being haunted.
Yes, that one haunted.
Did my first investigation down at Mineral.
Cool.
I got a special little connection with someone at Mineral.
Yeah.
Well, I have friends out there who have offered to, mostly his crew. So when I get there, let me see. Let me check my ETA. When I get there, I'll look you up because I gotta. Hey, listen. Even if we walked around, I have to see this town through, my own eyes because I don't know. It's just weird.
We've got the brick roads.
Yeah. We're 4 miles away from
Uh-huh.
all those areas.
Take you to the Lovejoy Cemetery and show you the Whisper
Yes.
Wall.
Lovejoy Cemetery, which is really cool. Like you said, First Unitarian, McPike Mansion, Mineral Springs, Enos
And
Apartments.
folks, you'll know it's us because the 3 of us will be walking down the road followed by a robot.
Yes.
So you'll know it's
Absolutely.
us.
Are you going to let
Thank
Ken
you.
use the remote control, Richel, or what?
I feel like I might let him use it.
Oh
You have
my
to get to
God.
know me a little better.
I appoint-
Rise up field
You-
trip to Alton. I like it.
There was a long pause.
You're letting people use it who don't investigate all the time. Okay?
It
Who
is.
don't
It is what it is.
who don't own expensive equipment.
That guy has a
and-
memory that he'll never live. It'll never die.
Well, when he watches this, he'll know that
I
I'm
don't
real
know.
pissed off.
It's kind of a guy thing. It's like, hey, I bought a new truck. Hey, can I drive your truck? Yeah, sure. Just go ahead.
No, I don't even let my husband drive my Jeep. I'm like, nope, you cannot drive Sheila. Sorry. She's
We've been
the
trying to
lady.
get Satori and Cody to come down here
Yeah,
well over a year.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard because they're well overworked.
Well,
Yes.
we finally got them to Tennessee.
Yeah, we're getting them to Tennessee, which is great.
Yeah.
when I
When we come back, we want to talk a little bit about the hospital there and, find out a little bit about that. You can tell us about that. We certainly want to plug that. I don't know what we want to, what do we got, about 5 minutes now before break?
Thereabouts.
Yeah. Geez. Let me find something here. Okay. Let me ask you a question. When in your years of doing this, a real quick one, what are the top 3 type of locations that draw you in? Like, what is the common denominator in certain places? You know what I mean? Hospitals, theaters, that kind of thing. Do you have maybe a top 3 of places that it's like, yeah, we've done a lot of this, we've done a lot of that, and then, boy, there seems to be like a preponderance of hauntings in certain locations? Do you have like sort of off the top of your head, like 3 common places? Could be like prisons, asylums, whatever, places you've been to.
In
I
3
feel
minutes or less.
I feel like I've investigated several hospitals.
No.
And mine are homes.
I like homes the best, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't investigated many prisons,
Yeah.
but I want to.
Yeah.
But
I've done 2 prisons. I would like to do more.
yes.
But I also like to go with these places that like have a story that I want to figure out for myself because I've heard so much about it. The Conjuring House, that was always on the list because of what I've read and researched about. Okay,
Right.
Haunted Hill House in Mineral Wells, Texas. That's a place that you can see video after video after video and listen to people talk about it, and it is one crazy location. We've been there.
Yeah. Which we want to go back. We plan on going back.
I want to go to the Sally House. I never got a chance to go there because of what I've heard and read. So
I've never been to the Sally House, and I've never been to Villisca,
Villisca was cool.
which is crazy because we were at McIntyre, which is right down the road.
Right.
Well, we got a ton of stuff that's going to lead into when we get into the second hour, because there's a lot of meat on these bones. I want to try to get them in before we let you guys go tonight. So I know we're coming up to it very shortly.
Yeah, we got about 2 minutes coming up the break here. So my question is, what is your anticipation for a day investigation in lieu of a nighttime investigation? What do you think, other than the fact of what you had already stated, Richel, which is, or Brian, that the activity that would have happened in normal life, are you looking towards residual more so? Do you would have that expectation, or do you think that it could still be intelligent haunts during the daytime?
I think that we would come in contact with a lot more residual, but I think that there could be intelligent. When we investigate hospitals at night, a lot of the time hospitals have a curfew or like lights out, things are quiet, you're not trying to make noise, you're not up moving around and things.
And
Very true.
And prisons. So I feel like
Very true.
the residents there are either sleeping or like they're not trying to engage because that's not typically what they would be doing. They're not up. Like I think of them as people that we just can't see. Like they're just not living anymore, but they're still people.
Right.
They still abide by a schedule. So I know a lot of the times when we investigate some places that have little kids, after it gets to a certain point in the night, they don't talk anymore, probably because they've gone to bed.
Right.
So I guess
Interesting perspective.
think of it like that.
that's the way we. Yeah, I agree with everything she's saying.
Well, I can absolutely agree with what it is that you're saying there, and you wonder sometimes during investigations why the activity tends to pick up the latter part of that night or morning, 4 or 5. People are starting to get up at that point in time, especially staff getting ready at these locations. So interesting perspective. We are at the top of the hour. We need to take our break at this point in time. When we come back on the other side, we've got more interesting topics and questions for our very special guest tonight, Richel Stratton. Brian Murray, you're watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. Stay with us. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
All right.
1 minute.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you would like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm gonna take it for the energy. I'm gonna take it for the play. I'm gonna take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a feel the difference money back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Keep it in mind, ladies and gentlemen, in a couple of weeks, exorcist Bill Bean will be joining us on the show. So for those of you guys that have questions about am I possessed or is it just the moonshine I'm drinking, will be answered by Bill Bean. So make sure you guys stay tuned, check it out, hit that subscribe button. We are back with a very special guest tonight, Richel Stratton. And Richel and Ken, you both should really feel honored and privileged because you actually have two celebrity names on the show tonight. You have George Lopez and Brian Doyle Murray. So
That's true.
Keep that in mind. Celebrities in the house tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Golf clubs right there in the corner if you guys want to do it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Brian Murray probably does. I don't think George Lopez is out on the course, but I could be wrong. I have no idea. Thank you guys again for being here as our guests this week. And again, make sure you guys do check out the podcast on Apple. And I'm going to put that back up for you guys again so you can check it out. Adventures with Brichel. You can also find Adventures with Brichel on TikTok. You can also find Richel on Twitter, Brian on Instagram. I'll keep putting this up throughout the second hour, but Ken, turn it back over to you, sir.
All right, thank you. One of the things I love to get into is get different perspectives from paranormal investigators on things. So a lot of times people come on here and in chat, we'll run the gamut with psychics, people who identify as witches. They talk about protection. Now, personally, I don't do anything spiritual. To each their own. I mean, as far as protection, white light, all the rest of that stuff. I don't have anything I go through. It's not really my thing. You do you. If you feel that that gives you confidence and security, by all means, go ahead and do it. I rely more on research because I feel that gives me more confidence in going into a place and getting the background, but everybody's a little bit different. Some investigators don't want the background. They want everything to be organic that happens to them. They don't want to have any kind of predetermined ideas. So I love to ask people how they go about it, wherever it is that you go, whether it's, a residence or you're going off by yourself, taking on skinwalkers or whatever comes down the road at you. How do you get yourself in your mind frame?
Oh, wow.
Well, we have a dance party.
This is the truth.
We dance it out. It sounds stupid, but it gets our energy high. We both pick a song. We dance. We sing to it. We get pumped up.
It's like a little concert that we do in the car.
Okay.
And people who've investigated with us before, they've heard the techno, beatboxing that we do and the dancing. And we usually make everyone do it too before we go.
Yeah.
And it's just to get everybody's energy up. I know that. So like I have a ring that I wear for protection when I go on investigations, but typically I just it sounds silly, but it works for me, and I believe it. And I believe if you believe in it, that it works for you, then it will work. I just tell the spirits that they can't follow me home, that they have to stay there. I also am really big on never telling a spirit that they can use me for energy. There's plenty of stuff around that you can use. I do not want to be your power source type thing. And as far as information, I like a little bit of information, but I don't want details. I want what was this? I don't know.
You don't want the full detail, because if you know Mary hung herself in the closet, that's all you're thinking.
Yeah, I don't want
when
that.
you get up there. So a little bit, we like to hear the claims. Here's what's happened. And then we like to form our opinion after that. We'll put it to the test. We'll try to go in, try to debunk anything that we can, but not get too sold on the idea of it's absolutely this entity and it's doing this. Just let me know that this door is opened and you've seen something come down these stairs. That's all I need. And then we'll hit from there. I don't wear any kind of protection or anything like
What
that.
about your necklace thing?
I forget it most of the time.
Oh.
So
there for a while in the beginning, you wore it.
I know, but I forget it most of the time now. But I also believe when I go into a location that I'm respectful enough that the things wouldn't find interest in me anyways. I go in with straightforward. I want to know about you. If you want to talk to me, if you don't, then I'm going to be here doing my thing. But at any time you want to let me know you're here, be a part of this, what I'm doing, so be it. But if you don't, I'm still going to do my thing.
Yeah,
that's how I go in.
I've seen people gather on someone's front lawn before they enter the house, lighting candles in a circle. And I could just imagine those poor people looking out the picture window saying, "Oh my God, what am I in for?"
Yeah. Are they burning us?
So I think there's a balance there. But I don't think any of us, condescend to anybody who grounds themselves spiritually. Like I said, you do you.
That's what I say all the time.
But if you're dancing around to techno music or something, you're also grounding yourself in reality.
Yeah.
A little bit too, right?
I mean, we feel like it's a great way for us to get our minds right and just be in a positive space or whatever when we're going into these investigations. Because I believe that your energy that you're putting out there has a lot to do with what you get back. If you're not in a good mood, you probably won't have activity, or you probably won't have the activity that you want.
Right.
You probably are going to get some negative stuff back towards you if you're being negative.
There's that intention word again, right?
And exactly. And then if you're there and you're excited to be there, you're excited to meet whoever is there, they're going to be more inclined to talk with you and less inclined to, try to do something maybe you don't want.
Right.
Plus, if you've ever seen us do our dance and our song, you're just welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's magical.
We're going on tour.
Yeah.
Because, it's pretty fire, as the kids say.
I love it. I know that there's another place I want to go. We got a little game we're going to play with you guys tonight before we get out of here. So a couple more things before we get to some questions. We've got about half a dozen here in chat we want to get to. How do you distinguish yourselves on an investigation? And I'll explain as briefly as I can. With you, you're in Alton, so you have how is McPike Mansion open to investigate, or is that
investigated at the present time? It's only the cellar. They're working on other parts.
Yeah.
So
okay. In my neck of the woods, probably the most notorious place is the Lizzie Borden house. I live in Rhode Island. It's literally 4 miles away from me. In the times that we went there, do you ever think all right, we're going to the McPike Mansion, hundreds and hundreds of people have investigated. Lizzie Borden is thousands and thousands of people. What am I going to say? My line of questioning that's going to distinguish me, or in your case, you guys, from the hundreds of people that go in there and ask the same questions repetitively. Like I told my group when we went into Lizzie Borden house, if anybody asks for a confession, I'll hit you in the nose with a newspaper, because that's been done to death. So we asked about her work in the church and her love of animals, just to, we weren't going to relitigate a murder trial because it's been done a million times, which is kind of why I like research and background as much as I can get. I'm a little different because in the background, there might be a tidbit of information,
A clue.
that you may not think anything of, but there may be a little tidbit that I can open with about that person's life, or maybe their family, their kids or something. So I'm curious, if you find yourself in that same position when you go to iconic places, if you ever take a step back and say, man, this question has been asked like 1,000 times. Let's just take a minute and think about how we want to approach this place, and just maybe, like I say, distinguish ourselves a little bit more than, the typical questions that you ask.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. So I think that something that we do that is like distinguishes us is that, first of all, we never, at least I don't think you do either. Like I never try to bring up something that's going to shut down a conversation immediately. Mm-hmm. So like if it is a touchy subject, like how did you die?
Right.
Did you kill someone? Are you guilty? Like anything, like did you have a miscarriage? Like things like that.
If there was a suicide or.
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't ask a person that you just met how they attempted to commit suicide, because they're not going to want to talk to you. So we don't do that to the spirits. But the other thing that I think sets us kind of apart is we'll ask questions, but they're questions that you would ask a living person, like in a conversation. Me and him have conversations all the time on investigations. And then we're like, for instance, we're talking about our kids and we're like, do you have any kids? And like, just bring them into our conversation. And I
like the way you asked that, Richel, because you asked it in the present tense.
Yes.
Do you have any kids? Not did you have kids?
We always talk that way, as if we're right there. We do the same thing, and I can tell you this for a fact. Every time we go into a location, this is exactly what we'll say, or how it goes down. We introduce ourselves, and I introduce everybody with us. I tell them straight up, I know a lot of people come to visit you. We're here because we want to know more about you. It's your story. You're the star of the show. We're going to be here for this long. We're going to have this equipment. None of this stuff can bother you, harm you, hurt you, or anything. If you want to speak to us, we are the kind of people that will listen. We're the people that can try to help if that's possible. But we're not going to bug you. If you want to be a part of our conversation, please do so. Like I said again, my name is Brian. This is Richel. The easiest way for us to build a reputation or build like a solid foundation here is if you could give us your name, and then we can go from there. That's how we do it every single time.
Yeah, and I like to find things and ask them, like, what was this used for? Like, what is this? What's it used for? Like, I've never seen it before, and see if they'll give me information. I will also say that when I'm investigating, I like to sit down, like Indian style or on the floor or whatnot. I try to make myself as small and approachable as possible so that I'm not intimidating. The reason I sit down is because a lot of the times when I'm standing, I cross my arms, and that's not approachable. And it's just because I'm probably cold,
defensive,
comfortable, but it looks like if I'm not smiling, my face basically looks like I'm unamused and to get the hell away from me. The RBF is strong with this one.
Right. It's a defensive kind of posture.
Yeah. So I try to be mindful of my demeanor as well, that it's inviting to whoever wants to talk.
And what you're trying to do too, and again, I'm not taking anybody to task, but we've talked about this on the show a lot. When we're asking spirits, and sometimes it's innocently done to perform for us, move this, move that, push this, and we try to let it be known that we're making suggestions, whatever they're willing and capable of doing. We're paying attention, but we're not there to ask them to do parlor tricks for us.
Right.
Make this move, make that move, and so you've got to try to find a balance where you're having a conversation. And I know you guys are living this, where you're literally putting yourself in the mind frame. I'm talking to a living person.
That's the way we approach it.
I try to.
Because I think, if screaming and yelling and asking to be pushed downstairs, if there's any empirical proof that actually works, then I'm all ears. But to me, the other way, and nothing might happen, but this is why I like to get a little background on somebody's life, because there may be something innocuous in there. I'll sit there in an investigation and I'll say something like, hey, I'm going to the store. Can I get you anything? And everybody laughs. They think I'm making a joke. And yeah, I kind of am. But in another way, you never know what the magic question will be.
I always ask, I always ask when I'm at Ashmore, how's the meatloaf here? It sounds so weird, but I feel like meatloaf, it did. Like, how's the meatloaf here? And it's just.
We just literally go in and make sure that we are having a conversation. And if you want to be a part of it, so be it. And if you don't, we're still going to do our thing. We're not trying to bother you, but we are the kind of people that listen and that could, relay a message if that's a possibility. We never really tell them that we can help out, because that would be almost lying. If somebody's from the 1700s, how are we going to help them? You know what I mean? But know more about them. We tell them they're the star, whatever, stuff like that. And that's the way we do it every time we go out.
I will say that I sometimes ask them to play tricks on Brian. I think it's funny.
I don't.
And if you could just do that for me, I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to scare him.
Just wait till the next time.
Yeah. But we've asked, when we were at Waverly, we asked them to play a trick, and they did.
They did.
Multiple times.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
So it worked out.
I've done it myself, and I love it. Whereas some from the other room, you hear, Ken, what did you ask her to do? Why? Nothing. What? George wants to come in here, and like I say, the last 20 minutes of the show, I have a little game that I'm gonna spring on you that I hope you'll enjoy. But we have some questions in chat here,
okay,
George. So probably a good time to get to those. Our good friend Jeff Hilton asked, Brian and Richel, if you need help understanding something you have seen or experienced, who are your top 3 advisors that you can rely on?
If we need to understand something, we go to, like, Matt. Matt would be one for me.
Yeah.
Matt Pace, he's the co-founder of our home group. He's very intelligent when it comes to this. I feel like we
asked Shauna and Josh on Riverbend Paranormal. They're techie. Like, they both work in tech, and I feel like they're really good with that. I don't know.
I don't think we really ask them. A lot of times we try to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people might say that we pray to the ghost of Harry Price or something, and it's not really that way. I might go outside myself and ask my wife, who's not part of the team. It's like, hon, what do you think?
Okay. My husband, Chris Stratton. I ask him all the time, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
Because he's a skeptic. He's starting to turn into a believer a little bit. We've showed him some things.
It's called abuse.
brain working. It's working.
Yeah.
But I've showed him some things that he's like, okay, I can't explain that. I don't know what that is. But yeah, I
think we talk it out a lot.
Yeah, Brian and I talk it out a lot. I don't know. That's a good question, but a hard question. And now I'm thinking that maybe we should have better advisors. Because I'm like, if Brian Murray is my advisor.
Depending on what you have, maybe you call it John Zaffis or somebody like that. But people would be surprised that a lot of us don't have anybody on speed dial that, clergy and whoever it would have to get to maybe a certain point, where you do that. But a lot of times it could be your best friend, your significant other, your whoever it is that,
I think at any time that we really, really needed some guidance and advice, I think that we could call Grant. I think we could call Jason for sure.
I think we could call
Jason and Grant easily.
Who would probably say, this is what you want to think of, but you got to go back. So handle it the best way you know how. Right?
Yeah, I know that.
I don't know. That's
you, Ken.
Yeah.
George, you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to another question. Our sometimes co-host and my paranormal daughter here, Erin. What is your favorite thing about collaborating with other investigators?
I like to see the questions they ask. I like to hear, I like to hear other people's questions. I also like to see, they always bring like different equipment.
Yeah, they have the different.
That I'm like, what's that?
I like to see what kind of
what that do?
What their snack is.
Their snack of choice. The thing about it, which I'm gonna give this away. Okay.
Oh boy. Do we want to talk about it or?
I feel like.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Hit them.
You wouldn't expect it from Brian and I, or maybe you would because we're investigators, but we observe people a lot.
Yeah.
And like recognize little quirks, things.
Yep.
And I like that because I'm like, every single one of us has a quirk. And I feel like once I figure out what your quirk is, it makes me feel like I know you better.
Mm-hmm. You ever notice when paranormal investigators go in the room and they start an EVP session, they look at the ceiling? If there's anyone in here, you ever notice that little thing where they look up like to the heavens or something? It's like these little things I notice. And I
swear to God now, every single time I'm going to ask that. And I'm going to try my hardest not to do it.
Right. Pay it like the next time a public event or something, watch how many people when they're looking, they're looking up at the ceiling. Yeah, I know what you mean. These like little things, they may or may not mean anything, but hey, listen, I entertain myself with it. So
yeah.
I really like how Dustin is with people.
Yes.
When we're investigating with him, and very similar to how we are. And he's really good with people. And he's always smiling. I wish for one day I can smile that much.
He's so positive and sweet. Like he's a great guy. Great investigator.
Kind of pisses you off, right? That he's so positive.
Like sometimes I want to make him mad, but I'm like, I don't want to be mean to him. I don't know how to make him mad.
I don't know how to make him mad. Or he's too. I would feel like shit, man.
I would too. I don't want that man to ever feel down about anything.
Like.
I just want him to be happy always.
Yeah, like whatever he wants, we'll just give him.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the stage of my life coming up on 50 years of doing this. I kind of go with who I want to.
Yeah.
There are some people I don't want to go with. I mean, the paranormal unity thing. I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, if you cheat at cards, doesn't mean I want to sit down with you to play just because we both like to play cards. It's that kind of thing. But
I like the analogy.
Me too.
Yeah, Android paranormal. Is it just me, or do asylums always seem to be the most active? No, it's just you. I'm kidding. Asylums seem to be the most. Well, I mean, How do you guys answer that? I don't know how many that, you kick around in, but what do you think about that?
I think Earth is active.
Earth.
So wherever
Earth is the most active, as opposed to Mars, which he doesn't feel like has any activity whatsoever.
I think it depends on where you're at, man. There are days that asylums are awesome. There are days that hospitals are.
Yeah.
Just depends on. I don't think one outdoes another location.
I know that people talk about tragedy and trauma, but it's not necessarily true just because a place had tragedy and trauma.
Right.
I think it's anywhere that has like very highly charged emotions that you like, that energy imprints on the building.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be.
Like, I would have a hard time saying a battlefield was less haunted than a hospital. Do you know what I mean? I think
or somebody's home.
Right.
When people say, "What's the freakiest thing you've seen?" I said, "There's a lot of things I can't tell you," because it's been in a ranch house somewhere that was built in 1980. And it's just, it doesn't work that way.
Right. That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we hope that if tragedy, trauma, high emotion, I think I speak for everybody where I hope those people have found peace and moved on.
Right.
At the end of the day. Jeff Hilton, have you ever investigated an area that is so active that the people that live there are so used to it that they make fun of newcomers wanting to investigate? Like big bets on how long they last. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, Jeff.
So the Conjuring house.
Right. Corey and Jen.
And Jen, every single time, like something that we were like, whoa, did you see that? Corey would say, yeah, it's a haunted house. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't expect it to be this active. Okay. Like, I didn't expect them to just be like, I'm going to open a door, because whether you're there or not.
I think Corey's amazing.
Corey is amazing. Corey and Jen are great.
Too.
But yeah, Corey, every single time he was like, yeah, Brichel,
it's a haunted house.
It's a haunted house. So then one day when he got like, not necessarily spooked, but you could tell that like registered with him a little bit more. I said, yeah, Corey, it's a haunted house. And he was like, shut up. So
I think it's taken, the Conjuring house is one of those places that it's taken a bit to change people's perceptions of it. But I think that happens when movies get involved and television gets involved. People still are in there looking for the wrong thing based on, the wrong information, but it does not mean that the place is not active as hell.
Oh.
Because
I love the place.
I do too.
I'll be honest, I love the place.
Yes.
I don't for a second feel like anything there, this is to me, is harmful. That's me. I've been there.
We will get George in there sooner or later.
Yeah.
George,
I wrote a book with Andrea Perrin. You saw the cover. And I've never been to the Conjuring house.
How is that happening?
Florida.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got you.
I have a different than you on the house.
Really?
Like, I don't necessarily, I think that if you treat the house with respect, then everything's gold there. But I feel like there is someone there that gets a little pissy, and I feel like if they wanted to, they could show you why that house got its reputation.
The closet guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I don't think that you walk in the house and they're just gonna like make you fly across the room. Like, I think that you're gonna have, like, if you're provoking type stuff.
Doesn't matter. We wouldn't have cameras on anyways.
I know we wouldn't. God, idiots.
Most of the times, and I've been there numerous times, doing tours and investigating, or just most of the time just sitting in the staff room hanging out, talking to everybody there. Not, no, I'm good, but most of the people who come away, it's like, so what do you think of the place? And they'll say, it's a beautiful place inside from that era, and it's peaceful.
Yes.
I kept saying it was the most peaceful haunted location I had ever been
I
to.
know it's weird. I know.
Like, it's active, but it's peaceful, and
time don't exist.
Time doesn't exist at all. There's like a time slip in there that you don't know what's happening. And I think that I don't think anything's demonic at the house. And but I do think that there is someone there, or at least when we were there, that the first time we were there. The second time, I didn't feel like he was around or they were around or whatever.
I also think that the things outside are different from the things that are inside.
Yes.
Right. Let me ask you a quick question about houses in general before we get to our last question. Now, there was a time we did a lot of residential places, and I don't know if you still do or you get those requests, but it seems to me that those things are kind of trending downward now. I don't get many calls on residences as we used to. Do you think that there's been a shift in maybe people's perception about it? Are they a little more educated about it now?
Yes.
Where they feel it's kind of a DIY thing, maybe, where they can do their own thing, go out and, you know, buy the equipment and everything. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's great that people are more open about it, but kind of, where do you come down on that with people, you know, kind of doing their own thing and buying their equipment and everything like that? I know people say, be careful what you open. I get that, but do you see that downtrend too? And is there like a reason maybe for it?
I think there's a reason for it. I do see it going down, and I think it's because there are so many platforms where you can watch investigators do their things, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Travel Channel, any shows, and they became very, very, very popular. Everybody at one point had a show going on, so they can see all that stuff, and I think that they're able to try to do their own investigating, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I mean,
is it a good idea?
When somebody calls me, I tell them to do the same thing every time. The first thing I tell them to do is keep a logbook of things that are going on. Be very descriptive. I want times, dates, what's going on, everything. Tell me what the moon looks like outside. Okay. Once they do that, they can start seeing their own trends and things like that. After that, if they still need some help, then I can look at it and see what I come up with. She would help me. We would look at it and say, okay, here's what I think. Before I even had to go to their house, there would be probably 2 interviews. Mm-hmm. There would be the logbook thing that I tell them to do before I'd even have to go there. And then the first investigation when I go there is clearly just a couple hours to walk around and see and get a feel for the family, the people. You know, sometimes dealing with the people themselves is the haunt.
A lot of the time we meet these, like we have a call with them, but then the second time we meet them in person at a public place. We've done that.
Not even at their house.
Yeah, before we go to their house, just to, you know, vet.
I also think that there's an uptick of people believing that there's demonic phenomena and everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people do tend to self-diagnose themselves.
Yes. And then Hollywood has not helped that. Every dark shadow in Hollywood is going to eat your face off. That's just not how it works in the real world.
One of the reasons is, I know immediately people say, you don't know what you're inviting in, you're giving permission. But to me, there's a more grounded reason. I've seen people become obsessed with it.
Yeah.
They're recorders and cameras, and it's just kind of like, listen, I don't investigate my own house. No. You know what I mean? It's like, you're living in this place, you need to live your life. Because I can understand you put a recorder out, but I've seen people become obsessed with it to the point it's like, you need to live your life. Get outside, go for a walk. You know?
We actually tell them not to investigate their own place.
Yeah. I wouldn't investigate my house.
No.
Like my own house. This is my house. If something's here, and I notice that it's here, I usually lay down boundaries of like, hey, don't be scaring my family. Don't be scaring me. And if you are a hitchhiker, go back. I'll come back and visit you, but you're not allowed to be at my house type thing. Like, I don't like that shit. Like, don't be coming to my house.
Not at our
without
house, man. I
invitation.
don't want it at my house either. You know what I mean? I don't want to wake up and see somebody at the foot of my bed. I'm a puncher.
No, right, exactly. Hey, listen, I'm supposed to be the pragmatic guy, but do not think for 1 minute that I haven't been driving back by myself in my car and say, oh, what the hell? I'm going to hedge my bets. All right, if you're in the car with me, I want you to go back, right? Don't think that I haven't done that.
I know I have. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
I have too. I've been driving back from a location and been terrified to look in the rearview mirror because I feel like someone's in this car with me and I don't want to wreck. Because if I look back and someone's sitting back there,
I'm wrecking.
I'm done. Because it's
I'm hitting the pole.
Yeah,
I've seen this movie right there.
Yeah, lots of times.
It'll also take me a second to realize like it's not a living person. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we all have our things. It's okay. Hey, final question here. Are your road trip snacks the same as your investigating snacks? That's got to be an inside question.
Road trip snacks, I always like something salty, sweet, and then I have to have beef jerky. And then with investigating snacks, I like something salty and sweet, but I don't necessarily have to have the beef jerky.
I'm just like, whatever we have, let's eat it.
You like Cheetos.
Yeah.
Doritos.
I'm pretty simple.
I like
crunchy outside the location, silent in the location. That's it.
There you go.
Not with us.
Actually, I'm working on trying to get a guest on who is a master, has a master's in nutrition, and to come onto the show to talk about what would be to keep awake, to keep energized, what type of food that would be important for investigators out there, because we, by record and by history, are the worst when it comes to snacks.
Eating?
Yes.
Like dark chocolate because it has that caffeine in it.
Yeah. But one of the things I learned was cucumbers. Because, the amount of megahertz of energy that's in that is astounding. Absolutely astounding.
Work if it's a pickle. I mean, technically,
I'll look into that.
Okay.
I'll look at it, find out.
Want to know? I'm like not a big fan of cucumbers, but I don't mind a pickle. That sounds weird. Never mind. Scratch it.
Never.
I like chips and chocolate.
You haven't been on an event that we've done, because I know when we were at the Conjuring House, I baked lasagna for everybody.
Ooh.
Dang.
And that's like we sat down and the other time, I don't know what I made, but I made lasagna one time and everybody, and I made 2 big tins of it because, you always want to have enough. Well, everybody ate and I was giving away lasagna out on the street after that. I had so much of it. But I figured, fill them up, get them fed, and you're good for the night. And then,
they fall asleep.
Everybody, well, that would be me.
Yeah.
That would be me falling asleep. One more here. If someone wanted to investigate with you, how do they contact you? Probably a good idea to talk a little bit about what's coming up here before we get into the last 20 minutes. You guys want to talk a little bit about this?
We can. The first investigation we have coming up, though, is in March
8th and 9th.
March 8th and 9th, we're going to be at the Palmer House Hotel in Sauk Center, Minnesota. So we're really excited about that. We've been to the Palmer House multiple times, and it's always a great time. I feel like everyone that comes has an experience, which is always good. So we're going to go there. And then the next event we'll be doing is the Old Harriman Hospital with Cody and Satori.
Woohoo!
And we're excited to do an event with them. They're our good friends, and we've been talking about doing an event for a while, but we've coordinating schedules, figuring it out where we're going to be.
Also, we'll be doing the investigation at Michigan Paracon.
Yes, at Michigan Paracon, we'll be investigating there as well.
Now, what are you guys going to do if the four of you are down there and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door and I'm on the other side of it?
Be happy.
I'm gonna
ask for lasagna.
I'm gonna say where's for lasagna.
It's like, I brought no food. It doesn't travel well.
Hop in. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my recorder and do this.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
If there's anybody here.
Let me see now. George, do you have anything while I get the 7 deadly questions ready here?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, a couple things. Do you go, either one of you or both of you, first of all, subscribe to the idea that when you go into a haunted location without the background, without the research, or even with, for that matter, and all of a sudden you're getting visions that are not part of your history, not part of your experiences, of an event happening in that location, people moving around in that location, does that factor in as using your sixth sense during an investigation? You know, I'm not the people who always say I'm picking up on, but in your head you can actually see a woman with her hair up in a bun in a white gown walking through that area. Do you incorporate that in your Q&A during AVP sessions or any of the other part of the activities you do during investigation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I absolutely do.
So you both get that? You both get that vision thing then?
I get, it almost looks like an old movie reel type thing.
Yes, yes.
And I'll get that, and I usually will like give Brian a heads up of like, I usually tell Brian because I'm like, Brian's not going to call me a liar or think I'm making stuff up. So I tell him, and then another person knows, and then we can ask questions about it. I don't openly tell people the things that pop into my head, believe it or not.
Why not?
Because
she tells me.
I tell Brian because Brian knows that
fear of ridicule?
I think that's some of it, probably.
Yeah, I don't want to get ridicule for anything about it. Like it's like I don't want you to take something that is a gift or something I should feel lucky that happened.
Okay.
I don't want you to take that and make it an ugly thing and make me feel ashamed about it or not believe me. I don't want you to do it. So I'm going to tell Brian because Brian is my best friend. We investigate all the time together. And there's no bullshit with us. Like if I tell him something,
it's the gospel.
There's not a doubt.
Yes.
When you tell me something, there's not a doubt.
I sometimes get what I think is, I try to tell them is like a little movie clip that plays.
Yeah.
And then like I could see what happens, and then generally it happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen every single time, but I think when it does, it's because I don't know how I would say this, but it's like this has happened several times to me. See the movie clip, and then it does end up happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it freaks me out a little bit, to be honest with you.
A premonition or a gift from spirit giving you the inside track?
I think it's a premonition.
I do too. I think it's that.
Yeah. He'll call me up in the middle of the day. He's like, guess what I just saw? And I'm like, out and about or in your head.
Yeah.
And then he'll tell me, I'm like, okay, let's pay attention to that. Let's make note of it.
We were at Honolulu one time. Well, the only time. We were at Honolulu, and me and Richel were sitting at this table, and we're waiting for, people come up and talk to you or whatever. And this lady, she stood 10 feet away from us and just was staring at us. And
we said hi because we were having a conversation with ourselves. And then we noticed and we're like, oh, we're being rude. Like maybe she wants to talk to us. She never moved closer to the table.
She wouldn't come closer to us.
She stayed where she's at. She had a conversation with us. And then she said, okay, I'll talk to you guys later.
And she left.
We didn't go to a single other table, and we didn't see her the rest of the time.
We just looked at each other and was like, I don't know if she was real.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Whoa, interesting.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, I want to turn it over to you for this segment because I want to give you enough time to ask the questions and for them to answer.
Very good.
It's on here. It's like, I'm real, dummy.
Yeah.
All right.
She's like, you dumbass.
Those of you who may have remembered us from the other channel know that we used to like to do this with our guests on occasion. So we are going to bring back from the dead, the 7 deadly questions tonight with Brian and Richel. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your first question. If you had to choose one, which color would you eat from a crayon box?
Orange or purple?
Black.
What was that, Brian?
Black.
Okay. Second question. What is your favorite smell?
Wet concrete.
Pine.
Okay. What is the silliest
Like
thing you've
pepper.
ever seen a stranger do in public?
Open the door naked.
That just happened last
It was
week.
just a couple days ago.
Silliest thing I've ever seen a stranger do in public.
Oh, wait. What does wet concrete smell like?
Like when it rains.
It's gross.
I don't think it's gross. It smells like childhood. I like it.
No, she's wrong.
Or chlorine. I love the smell of chlorine.
She's into chemicals.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Gasoline, all that. Silliest thing I've ever seen a stranger do in public. I don't go in public. So I can't come up with anything.
Your boy here licked a microphone during COVID.
Yeah, you're not a stranger, but you did. Brian licked a microphone in public at a convention during COVID by accident.
By accident.
Okay. I can say getting off a train at Grand Central Station in New York City, and the first thing I saw was a guy singing to his hot dog.
He froze.
Uh-oh.
But it was New York, so we're grading on a scale there. Next question. Have you ever fallen asleep during an investigation?
I think that I fell asleep due to hypothermia. Do you remember at Mineral Springs? So I was so cold in the pool area and I was all bundled up. And I think like I was so cold that my eyes just slowly started like closing. And it wasn't because I was tired. It was just like
she was dying.
Yeah, my husband was like, I was like, I think I was asleep because I was really cold. He's like, that's hypothermia. That's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I have not.
I have not. I have. After lasagna.
I was about to say.
Next question. Speaking of which, what is your last meal? What is that? What would your last meal on earth consist of?
Chicken strips. And with some macaroni.
Mac and cheese or?
I know. Macaroni. He means macaroni and cheese. Mac and cheese.
What about that medium?
Mine would be, I think, a pork steak and a baked potato and corn on the cob. But a baked potato needs to be loaded with all the fixings.
Oh my god, that's the best question ever.
No dessert. You got to make this last now.
Oh, no dessert.
Well, the appetizer would be a shrimp ring because me loves some shrimp cocktail sauce.
Yeah.
Shrimp ring.
I want a brownie.
For dessert.
Brownie.
It depends on my mood, but I feel like I want a key lime cheesecake.
Why are you so out there.
I'll go with that.
They're not out
Really?
there.
I've never had that in my life.
Okay.
I'll make you one.
Next question up. Where would you like to time travel? The past or the future?
The past.
Yeah, I'd like to do the past.
I don't want to go to the future.
Self-correction, right? Okay, and final question, not counting people, what 3 things would you take if you were evacuated in an emergency?
I feel like there's like logical things that you should take and then things that I would want to take. Okay, question, does my dog count? Is that I count him as a person. He's my third
Okay, no, the dog doesn't count. These would be like material items, I think.
material.
A bottle, a lighter, and a knife.
Okay, practical.
I'm
Okay.
surviving.
I want to take water.
Well, I got a bottle. I can get puddles.
You're gonna die so quick of bacteria.
I want a zombie apocalypse to happen right now, and I want to see who makes it longer, me or you.
Me for sure. You're clumsy
Oh,
as fuck.
well, I'm a Murray.
And I'm a Stratton.
We don't die.
We got really good luck.
Whatever.
Okay.
You do.
We should stick together.
Yes, I mean I don't want her to die.
You guys are done in a zombie apocalypse.
Probably because we're
No.
arguing.
No.
But that comes to the end of it. Thank you for playing. This has all right.
That was
Right.
cool.
We tallied up your score, and you got a 4.
What is that supposed to mean?
I have no idea.
I didn't know this was getting scored.
Yeah, I
can do better.
Yeah. For the final meal, I would absolutely choose blowfish because why not? If it's made wrong, you die anyway. So what the heck? But I heard that if it's made right, it's a phenomenal taste. So I'll try that sometime. We are completely out of time. 1 minute left here, guys. Very. Go ahead.
Computer's dying.
Say what we got.
I said, good thing my computer's dying.
God. Well, we wanted to thank Brian and Richel for joining us tonight, and make sure you guys do check out the podcast. They've got some upcoming events that you certainly want to check out, and we'll put up again the podcast information, and of course for the website. If you guys need Brian and Richel to come out and their team to investigate, you can certainly do that also. The official Riverbend Paranormal.com. Cannot thank you guys enough for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys.
If your computer doesn't die, stay with us for just a second. Don't hang up yet on your end. But I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week at the same time. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a good rest of your week. You've been watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. Thanks for watching. Good night.